Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn with Mahesh. In today's video in Think and Design in Google Cloud, we are going to see a series of organization policies use cases. The first one is the use case is something like the one which you see on the screen. So the organization does not want to create basically in any of their projects a default VPC. Rather they wanted to use more of custom VPC. So in very simple terms, if they create a VPC, it has to be basically custom. It cannot be the auto mode or the automatic mode basically. So how do we achieve this is the question. So for people who are looking into this kind of networking related stuff for the first time, why one should not use a default VPC is there are some good number of reasons. I'll just give a couple of them. So the default VPC, when you create it, it is usually going to create subnetworks in all the regions which Google currently operates. So as of today, basically if Google is having 42 regions, so it will have subnetworks in 42 regions. Now as a company, I may not operate in all the 42 regions. I may only operate in Mumbai, I may operate in Sydney, I may operate in Singapore, that's it. I may not operate in European Union or in any of the American regions. So why should I create subnetworks there? Now if I create subnetworks there, what will happen? Basically people can create virtual machines, Kubernetes cluster, data proc, data flow, data fusion, cloud composer kinds of resources in a region where the company does not operate. So they don't have a presence. So we want to avoid that. That is one of the main reasons. The second reason is it is going to have firewall rules, which is like little scary, like open to the whole internet 0.0.0.0/0. So they will have that. So these are simple two reasons why we want to avoid default VPC. So coming back, how can we achieve this? So one of the options which we can use is organization policy. So in our channel itself, we have discussed on good number of organization policies. So if you go to my channel and search for org policy, one of the initial time itself we had created a org policy called as disable creation of default VPC using an organization policy. So what is that is, if I just go to the organization and search for skip. So if I just search for this, so this is already put in force and it's enforced. So if I click on this, what this is going to do is this Boolean constraint. So if you are planning to take any kind of certification, primarily network engineering and security engineering, so you have to spend some time on the constraint ID. Okay, so where, because in the question they may just as a flow they will just say compute.skip default VPC creation. Yes, when you look at the constraint ID you can definitely know, but just having the constraint ID once before the exam, knowing it will always help you out. Okay, just a small tip. So going back to this thing, this Boolean constraint skips the creation of default VPC and related resource during the Google Cloud Platform project creation when where this constraint is set to true. By default, a default network and supporting resource are automatically created when creating a project resource. So to be very frank, right, the gist is you create a project. I'm not going to create a project in this demonstration, so you can take it as a small activity. You create a project. Default VPC will not get created. That's the reality. So when the default VPC will get created is when you go and enable the compute engine API. When you enable the API only, the default VPC will get created. So this org policy, what it's going to do is, currently I have 3 projects. Right, so if I create a new project XYZ, service project -XYZ, and in that project if I go and enable compute engine API, what is going to happen? Automatically the default VPC will get created. But because I have this constraint enforced, the default VPC will be skipped. Beautiful, right? Beautiful. So this is going to do the job for newly created projects. Now problems will always occur even in an existing project. So meaning, I'll just show you this is a existing project. So this project I have created specifically for leveraging the shared VPC concept. So what is shared VPC? People don't know. Just go to the channel and you should be able to search for shared VPC. You should get some couple of good videos which has been posted long back. You can look into it. So coming back here, now this is an existing project. So for VPC to be created and all, compute engine API should be enabled. So I've been emphasizing on this API a couple of times. Let me quickly show you this part. So if you go to APIs and services, first time when you create a virtual machine, first time you create a VPC, automatically this API will be created. So that API is going to be called as compute engine API. This will be enabled in my host VPC project. So it's already enabled. Okay. So just going back. Now this constraint which we have put is only going to help for new projects, folks. Now there could be a new person, a junior, somebody who's not much aware of the networking part comes to the project and who has a high privilege. It can be possible, right? So Mahesh default, you can have any name, right? So usually they will give it as default VPC. So I thought I'll just give a different name. So I'm going to do this one. So this is what we don't want. We don't want people to use automatic option. So, but is that existing organization policy going to help us? No, right? And this is the one which I was highlighting. So it is going to create 42 regions. So you can see this 42 regions. It's going to basically have the subnetworks, which we don't want. I may not operate in basically, say for example, US Central, because as an organization, I don't operate it. I may be primarily focused on APAC region. So Sydney, Mumbai, Singapore is what I may focus. So I don't want to operate in London. I don't want to operate in US Central. I'm just making it up here, right? It could be any region. So another thing is, if I had selected these, so these are scary firewall rules. This. So open to the whole world. If I have the private key, I can SSH into any Linux machine. If I have the username password, I can RDP into any Windows machine. If I have a VM which has an external IP address, I can ping it from anywhere. So I don't want these kind of firewall rules. The two reasons which I mentioned, we are seeing it. So now if I just go and create it, so behind the scene, the command line is going to be custom mode equal to auto. We don't want this to happen. So let me just try to create it and show you what is going to happen. It gets created, folks. So the whole purpose of an organization not to have this option is defeated. So meaning that organization policy is good for new projects, but first time when you are creating, it will not be there. When you are enabling the compute engine API, it will not be getting created, but afterwards someone can manually go and create it, or can create it via CLI, or they can create it via Terraform, or using REST APIs they can create it. So you are not putting that constraint, hey, going forward also you should not create it, right? So that is the important thing. So it is in very simple terms. If I were to give an example, like usually people put seat belt or helmet when they basically see a traffic police, right? So that's not going to be a good one, right? So or when they are trying to get a driving license, they show that they are following all the rules, but once they have got the driving license, they will drive in whatever the manner they want. So no, we don't want it. We want always the people to drive in a proper way, the driving. So something similar is what we wanted to achieve. So basically, even if there's an existing project, we don't want them to create -- custom -- equal to auto. It should be always custom. What is the option, right? So that is what we wanted to see it. So I have given the problem statement. Okay, so now you see the default VPC has been created. So what is the solution for this? So one of the possible solution which I can say is don't use any of the existing policy, because that one is not going to help you out. So we have to create something called as custom organization policy. So this is definitely going to solve the problem. So we are going to see that in action. So let's go and look into it. So let's go and do that part, and I'm going to also delete this default VPC. Okay, so before I delete it, I am going to create the organization policy, then I'll come and delete it. I'll tell you why I'm going to delete it later. So let's go to the organization policy. So for this, creating this kind of policy at an org level, it will be always a good choice. So because you can turn it on where you want, at what project you want, whether you want to turn it at the org level, it will be always good. So that is one thing. And based on what I see, if I go to the organization policy, you see this hyperlink, custom constraint. So if I switch to a project, I'm just looking at the org level, folks. Okay, sorry, at the project level also it is now possible. So in the beginning days it was only possible at the org level, so project level was not possible. So now even at the project, so I'm at the project, so it is basically supported, so which is a good one. But as a good practice, creating policies at an organization level is always a good choice, right? Inheritance is going to come into picture. So let's go ahead and create the organization policy. And please note, the video is not being stopped at any point of time, so it may go around 15 minutes 17 minutes kind of a stuff. If you want, you can run it at 1.5x speed, right? So what we will try to do is we'll give a constraint name, something like block auto mode VPC. It's your choice, whatever you want to give it. And I'm going to basically give a camel casing option. So the only reason is, most of the organization policies, if you see it, there's no hard and fast rule. But if I look at any existing policies, right, so for example this one, you see this block B small, preview P capital, F capital, so camel casing is there. So if you want, we can go with that option. So block auto mode VPC, that's what we are going to do it. So the one which we wanted to basically use is compute dot Google APIs / network. That's the resource, right? The enforcement, should you do it on creation or on update? So this is where again an exposure on networking is going to come into picture. So I would try to put it on create. The reason is, I don't want to do it doing update is, you can create a VPC in auto mode and you can change it to custom mode. But if there is something which is a custom mode, you cannot change it back to auto. So in very simple terms, creation is only sufficient. So if I have a custom mode, subnet hyphen mode equal to custom is there, you cannot change it back to auto. So meaning this update option will not be helpful in this choice. And what I wanted to do is, I want to deny this, right? And the most important thing is this section, folks, the expression which you have to put it. So there's a good amount of documentation available. You can definitely leverage it. You can also leverage large language model options like ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever the options. So I've already done some research, and what I see is we should be able to we can just use this parameter, folks, resource dot auto create subnetwork. Basically we wanted to detect, right? That is what we want to do it. And this part we want to do, if somebody is creating auto create subnetwork equal to true, deny it. That's all we wanted. We want to directly create this constraint. Good. The constraint is created. So let's go ahead and enforce it. So how do you do it? Click on manage policy, override. So add a rule, directly enforce it, and I can set it. I want to do it right away. So the policy is enforced. and this usually takes a few minutes is what I would say. So let's just wait for it, and by the time we wait for it, I wanted to go back to the VPC which I have created. So I just wanted to highlight there is a bug currently which is there. So it shows 41 regions. So if I just go to Google Cloud regions and zone, currently we have 42 regions. So it should be showing 42. While we were creating it was showing 42, but when it is created it shows 41. So this is a bug. And anyway, we are not going to use default VPC. And you may say, then why Google creates this default VPC? This is just to onboard you quickly, folks. So when you are in a learning mode, if people ask create VPC, create custom mode VPC, create a subnetwork in Mumbai, create a subnetwork in US Central, nobody will have the patience of doing all those things. They want to quickly create a VM. So for quickly getting you onboarded, they created. This is more like what I would say, like to learn things quicker, right? So but in a real production system you should never use default VPC, right? So this is like, it's like a child learning bicycle, so it's going to act as the stabilizers, so the side wheels basically, but once the child learns it completely, remove the stabilizers or the side wheels so that the child can drive the bicycle normally. So that is what it is going to be. So let's basically wait for this one. So the reason for deleting it after I created the VPC is only simple. We are going to wait for few seconds. So, and when we do this kind of an org policy, it will not be immediately enforced, so it will take some time to propagate. And so I wanted to show you something little live, so that's the only reason. So deleting it, so we'll wait for it to get deleted, and definitely it's going to take around 30 seconds. By the time propagation can take, it is possible that after we deleted this and we then went and created it, it is possible it can get created. So if it getting created, the organization policy has not propagated. That is a simple indication. So if it is done, it is going to be propagated. So that's the thing. So it has been removed. So all good. So let me just refresh the screen so that everything is going to be applied. Now new screen, and what I can do is I can just verify. I can go to IAM org policies, and basically I go to constraint type custom. I have one, it has been applied. So good. So under custom mode VPC, right? So sorry, under this project called as custom VPC project, we should be now not allowed to create that option itself. So let's go ahead and do it. So I would like to do it in both UI and in the command line. So first in the UI, anything can be the name. So custom auto mode, the same way which I did it, done. So we should get basically an error message, or if it gets created, it has not propagated. Boom, it's working, folks. So you see organization policy, the same name which we created, it is blocking it. Beautiful. Even in the notification, sorry boss, you cannot do it. That's the simple thing, right? Awesome. So let me try to do something in the command line and see if I can basically break it through. So it will be the same thing. It does not make any difference. So but let's just do that. G cloud compute networks create demo custom mode auto. This will also fail basically. Beautiful. So and it should be the same case. So constraint is constraint, so it does not matter whether you do it from UI or from command line or from REST API or from Terraform or any infrastructure as code option. So basically we have achieved something great with the custom org policy. By doing this, anybody in my organization going forward, if they try to create a custom mode, it will not get created. Beautiful, right? So that's the option which I wanted to share today. So we'll see in our next think and design series, particularly on the organization policies. Thank you for watching.